Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My cell phone just turned till 6 p.m. I call the Town of Grand Rapids Tuesday, October 14th, Town Board meeting open. First item on our agenda is a public hearing. We have an application from Rick Prewitt, NASE Northwest LLC, 6511 Highway 13 South for a conditional use permit to locate and store 2 magazines, 6x6x6, containing explosive used in clearing off sites on ag parcel, stored on ag parcel 07-0221, South 13T22, Range 6E, Lot 3, Wood County Certified Survey Map number 4326, beginning the southeast from the southwest. The magazines will meet federal and state regulations that are inspected and regulated by BATF. Is there someone here representing the company?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good evening, how are you?
Fine, sir, thank you.
Good. We have an application in front of us for this parcel. Can you give, just before I ask the public for their before and afters, do you have just a little bit of update as to what is to be stored and such, sir?
What will be stored in the magazines will be detonating cord and electric caps that are factory packaged and delivered to the site, and then we store them and then we use them off-site at power plants, chemical plants, and power sources that we have to remove debris by the use of it. They're they're not dynamite, they're not a black powder, they're a regulated high explosives, not detrimental to the public, no possible chance of mass detonation by any means.
All right, thank you. All right, hearing that, did anybody wish to speak against the application for a conditional use permit? Anybody here wishing to speak against the application for the conditional use permit? Third and final call, anybody wishing to speak against the conditional use permit for Rick Prewitt, store 2 magazines 6x6x6? Hearing none, I call for those in favor. Anybody wish to speak in favor of the storage?
I do.
Arguably, right?
Actually, sir, what is your name?
My name is Gary Horinka. I'm general manager for NAES Northeast LLC at our corporate office in upstate New York.
And how's that spelled, the last name?
Horinka.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Third and final call, anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Hearing none, I call the public hearing closed, and I'll move to our regular agenda item. First item is number 1, to approve the agenda for the meeting. Is there any changes? Hearing none, item 2, approve the minutes from September 9th, September 25th, and October 1st town board meetings.
I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes for the September 9th, September 25th, and October 1st meetings.
Motion Dan, second.
Second.
Kathy, any discussion?
I do have one question in regards to the September 25th, when we reviewed the list that the departments were looking for, the $250,000 fire truck that we're trying to budget for currently, that wasn't on this list.
Okay. Any other notes? All in favor of the minutes as noted, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Thank you. Item 3, approval of resolution 2014-33, approving a conditional use permit for Prewitt NASE Northeast LLC to locate and store 2 magazines 6x6x6 containing explosives used for clearing off sites on ag zone parcel as listed in the public hearing. Patty, do you have just an update, or anybody from the Plan Commission?
Bill was there too, but,
Bill, was there any changes?
No, there was no change.
All right, Patty, you wish to,
yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm recusing myself from the discussion and for voting for my husband and myself do business with Mr. Bone, and that's where the magazines will be, kept on his property.
okay, so noted, I'd ask you to leave the table then. Thank you. And then I'll go back to Bill, no changes to the request or no modifications, Bill?
No, not whatsoever.
All right.
And maybe the chairman of the committee would just like to reassure that.
No changes.
Okay. Concerns of the board, or if not,
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2014-33.
I'll second it.
motion Bill, second Dan. Any further discussion? Go
Yes,
ahead, Bill.
In the conditional use, it says for use for cleaning off-site. And it was explained at the meeting that there may be creosote in a smokestack or something like that, and they do that. I was wondering if that has to be in here, if you use it for something different. If you use this for something different, do you have to come back for another permit?
No, sir. It's only for storage. It's our use is regulated by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and actually the state of Wisconsin.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's not used here, Bill, is what he's saying. I
It's
missed-
not used on
It's
site.
just stored
at the
here.
Location, no, it's not.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, and one abstention. Motion carried. All right, sir, you're released.
Thank you very much.
Take all the time.
See what you can sell your chair for, huh?
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna move to the public comment period, and before I bring that up, when we get to the agenda item, which I'm sure most of you are in favor of, I'm gonna ask the board for discretion to allow a few people from each side to speak specifically on the item. But our first public comment period is a 30-minute comment period. If anybody wishes to speak to any item on our agenda or any item other than what our agenda, and we limit that to 2 minutes at a time and for a maximum of 30 minutes according to our rules. So, that being said, anybody, pardon me?
And if they could not repeat something that somebody else just
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
We would like, because of the sheer volume of people, to, if the comments are what you wish to make are exactly as what somebody else said, we understand that and we ask that you bring something else. So anybody wish to speak to the board first?
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question for?
Sure.
So if the board agrees with you that we will have 3 parties of both sides speaking during the agenda item, could those 3 individuals hold their comments till that point?
They could if they like.
Okay.
Okay. Open it up for public comments. Go ahead, anybody wishing? If nobody wishes, that's fine, I understand. Go ahead, in the back, sir. Your name for the record, please. Your name for the record.
Just did.
You did. I overtalked you, didn't I?
Yes. I guess my mother and father worked very hard at getting trails in the area, started a long time ago. And over the years, there's always been trails that have to get moved for various reasons. You know, and I don't know why the reason is on this one, but they've always came around and got approval to keep the trails open because they're very important to the local economy. And it's just one of the things that you have to work with them. I mean, I got a trail that goes in front of my house, and I don't know when that was ever approved by a board. I don't know if they can run the ditches legally, correct? So, you know, I'm not sure why they even have to go through the board to get permission to run the ditch. They're not running the road, they're just running the ditch, right? And I think I'd rather see a well-established and signed trail down the ditch rather than everybody just running rampant and doing what they want. So I guess I'm in favor of the change.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to speak.
Go ahead, sir, for the record.
My name's Tim Wogan. I've been a Grand Rapids resident since '98. I've been snowmobiling since I was about 5. I did speak at the last meeting, so I don't want to repeat everything I said there, but basically, I I sled safe, my kids have taken the course, and I would echo what Mr. Bone said, a nice, safe trail. I'd much rather put my 13-year-old daughter on than to have her running the ditch or running the side of the road. At the last meeting, most of us in favor of this spoke first, and I'd like to kind of rebut a few things I heard at the last meeting. And a couple of those issues were, I heard some of the local neighbors say, that they know these trails, they walk these trails, they use these forests and woods, and they walk their dog on them and those kind of things. And I guess if they're using them 10 months out of the year, I think it's reasonable that we can run a snowmobile on them the other 2 months out of the year. Also, the trail is a network, and there's a set amount of traffic no matter what. And if this trail closes, the traffic's gonna go down way around over at 64th Street, and I think it's been pretty well explained how that's not a safer route. There's more driveways, et cetera. And what the local people in this area are essentially saying is, we don't want the trail here, let's send twice as much traffic past all of our other Grand Rapids residents where there's multiple more driveways. This trail will go across 3 driveways, 2 of which are gravel, and it is all public land. I know a lot of people feel that their land goes right up to the street, but it doesn't, and I think this is the safest way to do it. I think it's best for the snowmobiling economy, our local businesses, and I think snowmobiling is one of the reasons I was attracted to this area. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other wishing to speak to the board, sir?
I have an opposing view.
Go ahead, sir. Name for the record, your name, sir?
Aloysius Britz, B-R-I-T-Z.
Thank you.
Now, I have a snowmobile. I don't keep it in my yard. I keep it up north. When I snowmobile, I don't snowmobile on anybody's property, across anybody's property. I snowmobile on trails that are through the woods or on the railroad tracks. So, but the snowmobile trail that they're interested in putting on 76th Street, there's no side road whatsoever for on 76. Snowmobiles that now travel on 76th Street travel in the middle of the road, and that's not where snowmobiles are supposed to be. They also make the turn about the middle of the road going down Circle. Also, then they have to make another turn to get down the Grove. And as far as I know, Grove doesn't have a safe side road. Now, W has a wide shoulder that takes them down to 64th Street or wherever they want to go. And I think W is a lot safer place for a snowmobile to be, where it's a wide road. Also, down on Circle, we have a number of youngsters. They, in the summertime, of course, they use their scooters and bikes, and they come on down Circle to my driveway and then into the open field. In the wintertime, these same kids use sleds and other mechanisms to slide in the snow. And I think we'll be taking that away from them, so that's my opinion.
Thank you, sir. Right at 1 minute, 50 seconds. Thank you. Anybody else in the back?
My name is Mike Spranger. I live at 4420 Black Forest Drive. I'm here as a couple, I guess, in a couple different capacities. One, I'm a 19-year resident of Grand Rapids. I live on the snowmobile trail. I chose to buy that lot, and as I looked at it, it was a premium lot because it was on the trail. I was a marketing representative for two subdivisions in Grand Rapids in the last 20 years. And I can tell you, both in the Black Forest subdivision and the Heritage Ridge subdivision, the lots adjoining the trail were the ones that sold first. In Black Forest, 9 of the first 12 lots that sold were on the trail. So if someone thinks that there's an impact on value, I would argue that there could be, but it would be more of a positive impact than a negative impact, because people seem to want to be there. The next issue I'd like to talk to, I guess, is one people will probably avoid. I understand there's a petition with a significant number of signatures. My comment to that is I would suspect that petition was circulated by the same folks that wrote the letter to the editor. And that letter to the editor was full of I guess, comments that were to promote fear-mongering, talking about snowmobilers like us chasing down children at 90 miles an hour and trying to run them over. I mean, that letter was inappropriate, I thought, and in my mind, if that's the way they presented the petition, I could see why people would sign it. We're not going to be driving through the yards of people in subdivisions. This is public property. It is moving the trail a couple hundred feet. This trail has been there for many, many years, as Mr. Bone said. We're using the ditch, which is totally legal. We simply want to use the road right away, and since that's wooded, they'll simply, as I understand it, create a minimal opening there for the sleds to go through. The other benefit is I can appreciate the owners have had use of that property somewhat as their own for a number of years, and over the years as a real estate broker, I've seen people become accustomed to thinking that's theirs. At the end of the day, it's public property,
Time's up.
and I think it's a very good site for the trail.
Anybody else? Either one of you?
I live on the corner, my name is Vernon Alice, and I live on the corner of 76th and North Circle. I own the property all the way out to W. Now, I've lived there for 40-some years. And I'm right next to the snowmobile trail, where it is now. And there's people constantly coming off that trail, driving on my private lot that features W, that faces W, up and down, back there and making circles in there. So don't tell me that they stay on the trail. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Dan, Darrell,
Okay.
that letter was not fear-mongering. It was telling the truth. The reason you have to move the trail now, because the lady is denying you access to her property, because you do get off of the trail. It's not fear-mongering, it's just the truth, and it's not everybody. But it's just a few that wreck it.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, sir. Name for the record.
Blake Schultz, and I'd like to just point to the map if I have 2 minutes. And as far as getting off the trail, that's why we're exactly wanting the trail in the center of the right-of-way here. I don't think anybody's going to be getting off the trail here if there's a thin, narrow snowmobile trail put on here. And like Tim Wogan said, 10 months out of the year, it's going to be a nice trail for bicycles or walking or whatever for people that want to access Lake Wazeecha. If this doesn't go through, the alternative is most of the snowmobile traffic is going to go down here. And I've been down here. This is dangerous here on the ice. It's a thin iced area. There is a lot of driveways that get crossed here. This is very dangerous right here across this intersection here. You got a ton more driveways here, and I would guess these people don't like this either. It makes the most sense, and I'm a snowmobiler with kids, and we stay on the trails. Of course, if we get stuck or something, there's always an exception, but for the most part, all of us snowmobilers are legit. We stay on the trail. That person that had the private land that sold their land where the trail used to be right here, it said 10 miles an hour here. I always respected it. Everybody I drove with, we respected it because this was close to a house. This just makes the most sense. I'm a taxpayer living in Grand Rapids, and I pay taxes too, and I would be in favor of this. This makes the most sense.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mary Whitman. Is there a noise ordinance like for loud music and that, like 10, 11 o'clock?
No.
Isn't there a noise ordinance?
No.
How late are we making noise with snowmobiles and the bright lights and all that stuff while people are sleeping?
Probably the same, I guess, no, it's not my comment period. I apologize. It's for your comments.
It's your comment. We can't answer, it's your comment period. We'll discuss it during the agenda item.
Anybody else?
In the corner.
Okay.
May I stand up so you can see me?
Yes, you
Sorry.
may.
I'm tucked in the corner. Hi, my name is Rachel. My husband James and I just bought Keller International Bar and Grill. So the last 4 months we've been living in the area. For the last 30 years my husband's been coming up here. Our family is up here. I'm fairly new to the area, but I've been visiting for the last 11 years. I know this is a very passionate topic for the landowners as well as the snowmobilers. And I hope that by whatever the final decision and the final outcome of this is, that it doesn't cut Kellner out. It's a small town. There's numerous businesses there, and that helps bring in commerce, that helps bring in revenue. And I think that it's a very important aspect to keep in mind because, like I said, we're open more hours now from the previous owners. We want to welcome snowmobilers. We want people to be respectful on the trails, and we want to have that. And I've heard a lot from both sides, so I just want to say thank you and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Hearing none, we'll call the public comment period closed then. Thank you for your comments. Move to item 5, monthly reports from departments. Fire Chief Don Bone.
Evening, town board, residents. We have a big audience tonight, so we should have a lot of volunteers. Just a report for the month, we are at full staff, which is 55 people on our fire department, but we are always looking for people that are interested. If you have spare time and want to be on a volunteer fire department, we're interested in you either on the fire side or the first responder side. There's a lot of dedicated people, but some of them are getting to the point where they're looking towards retirement. So if you or any of your children are interested in participating, stop in and find out what it's about. Last month was a very busy month. We did have 42 calls last month. 34 of those were EMS calls. We do respond with United Ambulance on every medical call in the township. We have a group that goes out to hopefully get there prior to provide whatever care we can prior to the ambulance arrival. So we're very active with EMS this month. We did have one motor vehicle accident and one carbon monoxide call. Carbon monoxide calls are going to start increasing with everybody's furnaces. Check your vents and stuff that our friends build little nests in your vents over the summer. Your heating systems are starting to be used. We're going to start seeing more carbon monoxide calls. We did have 4 structure fires that we responded to. One was a garage in the town of Saratoga. And then we did respond to, down in the city, Wisconsin Rapids, had a major structure fire on 16th Street. They had some staffing issues. They were out on multiple calls at the same time. They did request us to come down and assist them, and we did that with them. And then we did have a structure fire off of Latavia a couple Friday nights ago. Pretty close to home. It was my sister's house, so it's not a good feeling when you recognize the address. But that was a very good response. We did have multiple agencies called in due to what it appeared when we first got there. The firefighters did have a very good knockdown and contained it to the garage end of the house and things of that nature. Then we did have another structure fire up in the Village of Bearn, trailer house. We worked with the Village of Bearn Fire Department up there and saved the contents of that trailer also. So made some very good knockdowns, and most of them were actually daytime calls. So daytime is a struggle. Most of our firefighters are day workers. We had one other overheating water pump and a RIT call to another structure fire in the city of Wisconsin Rapids that we just send a crew there to back up their crews in case something happens to their firefighters. Our training for the month, we're going to be doing some training up on a training house we have up on Eagle Road. We'll be there Monday night. We'll actually be doing some burning. We're not going to burn it to the ground Monday, but we will be doing some fire training in there, setting it up to do some investigation work in there. We have a group that does arson investigation or just fire investigation in general, so we'll go see how accurate they can determine how we started the fire Monday afternoon. So we'll be working with that. Golden Eagle has purchased the house and they're letting us use it for the last 6 months. So with that, we'll have our EMS people up there working, doing the training that they do on the fire scenes and stuff like that. So other than that, our public relations, we did just complete the Fire Prevention Week. We had multiple groups of children come through the fire station as we do every year. We had our presentations out at Grant School and had probably 400 to 500 kids through the fire station and trying to teach them how to be safe and if something does happen, get out of their house and not have any issues. Other than that, we will actually be out Saturday continuing our address sign selling. Currently we're at about 525 signs that have been purchased throughout the town. We're going to be concentrating probably on the southeast subdivisions that we didn't hit last fall, trying to finish up those, going door to door through those areas. But anybody that's interested, if we don't get to your house, the applications are at the town hall. And like I say, as you're starting to see more and more of the signs around the neighborhood, we're getting more and more phone calls on them. So if you're interested specifically, we'll come knock on your door if we need advice on where the best place is. So. And other than that, we will be doing, next week we'll actually be doing the neighborhood table. The meal that's put on down at the church downtown. We've sponsored it the last 3 or 4 years. And the fire department will be going down there. We're sponsoring that again, and the firemen will be down there helping out some people that are possibly a little less fortunate than some of us. So, any questions on the fire side?
Any questions of the chief? If not, move to your safety.
Safety department, luckily we have had no work injuries. The bees have seemed to have subsided a little bit. We haven't had any bee stings lately, so the fire or the safety side is going well. Sorry about that. That was our bee sting. So. Any questions on the safety side?
No, thank you. Anybody else? No, thank you. Did Mel pop back in?
Nope.
All right. Mel Peterson is off on the scene of something, so Kathy will present his report to the public.
You get to be the chief for 2 seconds. For the month of September 2014, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 370 calls for service compared to 357 calls for service in September 2013. That's approximately a 4% increase in calls. He's attached a breakdown of the calls for board members. Through the third quarter, 2014, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 3,542 calls for service compared to 3,228 calls for service during the same time frame in 2013, a 9.7% increase in calls. The police department issued 5 written warnings, 6 municipal ordinance citations, and 38 traffic citations during the month of September 2014. Part-time officer Seth Tomey is completing the FTO syllabus, and we anticipate he will be out on patrol in the coming weeks. On September 3rd and 4th, 2014, all officers completed Wood County Juvenile On-Call training at the Wood County Courthouse. This hour training included updates, policies, and procedures for the Wood County Juvenile On-Call program. On September 17th through the 19th, 2014, Officer Kubisiak completed Amber Alert training at the National Criminal Justice Training Center, Fox Valley Technical College in Neenah. This 3-day training program was designed to provide law enforcement investigators with the information necessary to properly understand, recognize, and investigate cases involving missing and abducted children. On September 18th, 2014, Officer Anderson completed Beyond the Cones training at Northeast Technical College, Green Bay. This training addresses officer safety, liability, and both legal and moral principles while operating police vehicles. It focused on solutions to reduce deaths, injuries, and the high cost of property damage in and around squad cars. On September 24th, 2014, the chief participated in the Mid-State Technical College in-service training at the Wisconsin Rapids campus. This in-service training was conducted by local law enforcement from around the area for Mid-State faculty from all the campuses. The training focused on conflict resolution and active shooter training. The highlights of the training were 2 simulated active shooter drills designed to show and practice how the faculty should respond in the event of an active shooter. On September 26, 2014, Officer Kubisiak participated in the Girl Scout Safety Day at Camp Sacagawea. It was a great learning experience for the Girl Scouts, and they all enjoyed having their picture taken with the Grand Rapids Patrol vehicle. The Grand Rapids Police Department and Auxiliary participated in the DEA-sponsored National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day on September 27th, and we were able to collect over 87 pounds of unused, expired, or unwanted medications that were turned over to the DEA for destruction. The vehicles in the department are doing well outside of normal maintenance and minor repairs, And the chief says to please feel free to stop by his office anytime if you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions.
Thank you, Kathy. Just one comment to add to that. The drug program that we had where you could bring in drugs at the moment, there is no funding for it, so we have had to hopefully just temporarily stop taking those unused prescriptions from you. It has been, our concerns have been forwarded to our legislators in Washington who provided the initial funding through DEA, and we're hoping that they will restore that funding nationwide, because it's, as you can hear, tested the number of pounds of drugs that we hopefully prevented from getting misused by anybody. It's a tremendous amount of drugs, so if you hear anything of it, we ask your support to help us to continue that well-received program. Thank you. Any questions that we may be able to answer as board members from the residents? All right, we'll move to item number 6 then now, and that's a discussion on giving Keller Knight Snowmobile Club permission to use non-developed road right-of-way south end of 76th Street between South Circle Drive and Grove Avenue for a snowmobile trail to connect the current trail due to loss of private land, which current trail currently runs on. I'll ask the board if it's okay with their permission to ask for 2 or 3 people from each side if they wish to speak one more time to the issue. That's okay with the board if anybody wishes?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any of the folks on either side of the issue wish to speak one more time on the issue? Go ahead, sir.
Aloysius Fritz again. I have given the Snowmobile Club permission to use the back part of my property since all of the time I've used it. I've also made a suggestion to someone that if the Snowmobile Club was really concerned about using the trail they have, that they would go back there with that lady where they run in through the middle of her yard and see about running their snowmobile trail actually partially on her land and partially on the other person's land and going out wherever they went out. I would be willing to have them use another at least 50 feet of my property to cut down on the use of the lady that they messed up with. And I think that they ought to take time and work on that solution there, because I imagine her property line ends about the same place as mine does. And I think it would be a better deal for everybody if they kept what they have and where it's at and further ahead.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, can I use the podium?
I have no problem.
Is that okay?
You got that
These
much
guys
room?
back here can't hardly hear, so use your outdoor voice. Thank you. My name is Lance Plimmel. For those of you who don't know me in this room, I happen to be the Wood County Board Chairman and Administrative Coordinator for the county. I also sit on the Board of Directors of the North Central Wisconsin International Trade, Business, and Economic Development Councils, as well as the Local Government Institute, which deals with issues like this one that cross many governmental lines of authority. But most importantly, I'm here tonight because I'm a resident of Grand Rapids for 33 years, and I've ridden those trails for that particular amount of time. It's really difficult when you're a board and you have an issue like this before you, especially with many in attendance with opposing views. But at the end of the day, if you can factually justify the decision and tell a coherent story as to why it was made, it makes the position easily defensible. I'm going to start with 5 facts, if I could, and that is that economic development and jobs are the top 2 issues facing Grand Rapids and Wood County at this time. Tourism is a $17 billion industry in Wisconsin, with $157 million being spent in Wood County alone. Snowmobiling accounts for a significant part of those dollars. Towns, villages, and municipalities with direct access derive the most benefit from those trails, and those numbers come from the Department of Tourism. I talked to them today. Tourism is the most cost-effective way to build revenue and offset property tax increases. It requires little infrastructure. Florida, for example, has no state income tax, a property tax rate about 1/4 of what ours was, but derives those revenues from sales tax, which is what we're trying to do. Trail users will all use the best and most well-groomed trails when available. Corridors 21 and 26 provide the best and only access across the river for many miles in every direction. I would certainly like all those people riding to go through Wood County as opposed to Adams, Juneau, or Portage County and leave those dollars here and those jobs. Along with the $157 million that's spent on tourism in Wood County, we also support 2,100 jobs through tourism. We have 264 miles of trails in this county, with another 5 miles being added next year. We've made a $300,000 commitment at the county level to add bridges and additional trails to that network because we see the importance of that return on investment. The proposed options have been looked at long and hard. We've looked at every possibility, and this is by far the way that has the best option from a safety perspective and also from a public impact perspective. Every single issue you as a board deals with will have an impact on something or someone. Whether it's a road, a tower, a windmill, a business, a farm, or a mine that you're looking to site, your goal is always to choose the best option available for the entire community and then help or assist in mitigating any problems that may arise from that at a later date. Unlike some of the other issues, this one doesn't have effects that run in perpetuity. If you make a mistake on this one, you have the option to reroute this trail 3, 5, 6 years down the road. Simply put, you get a do-over if something happens to the detriment of society here. I would certainly urge the board from an economic development standpoint to support this as a logical proposal from all perspectives. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Go ahead. If you like.
Hang on right, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joel Matthews. I live in the neighborhood. Thanks for the opportunity to speak.
You're welcome.
We had a meeting a couple weeks ago of the Economic Committee. At that meeting, the section of trail that's at the heart of this issue, the Snowmobile Club indicated that it had been established about the time that the club was formed in 1970. Well, in 1970, that entire area was really nothing more than farmland and forest land. Grove Avenue didn't even exist in its present format. It was really nothing more than a fire lane that ended about where the 7600 block of Grove would be now. Times change. What made sense nearly a half century ago for a trail maybe doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, the area is now a fully developed residential area. There's a driveway with cars parked in it. The trail would run right through here. This is just one of the houses that are impacted by this. These are bedrooms. Here's where the trail's going to run. Here's a look standing on the trail, looking into one of the neighbors' backyards. Again, where the trail crosses my driveway right here. So as you can see, it's no longer a fire lane. It's your typical Grand Rapids neighborhood. Former Snowmobile Club member Don Brewster gave the club permission to cross his private land. So the trail could access undeveloped land to the north. Don passed away a few years ago, and the new owners gave permission to the Snowmobile Club to access that trail on a trial basis. By going off the trail, speeding, and this is from the homeowner. These aren't my words. We've talked to her. We know why she's closing it down, or why she wants to close it down. By doing those things, the snowmobilers wore out their welcome. And now you're threatened with being denied access to that trail going north because of that. Essentially, the snowmobilers created this situation that they're faced with now. This issue's been to the town board several times over the last few years. The board's been consistent in its approach. They've told the club to find alternatives, work with the neighborhood. And in February 2014, we sat in this room and they talked about forming an ad hoc committee. Snowmobile Club members, Bob, you were supposed to be on it. I was supposed to be on it. Justin, I think you might have been included, not sure. Or excuse me, Dan. A couple of neighbors and at least one board member. Nothing's changed. Here we are again with the only alternative the club's ever offered. It's the same idea that keeps putting these machines in a setting they don't belong in. It's the same idea that puts our land, our privacy, and our property in jeopardy. Because the Snowmobile Club wants a duplicate piece of trail. There's not going to be any access denied to any business, whether this trail exists or not. It's the same idea that's been voted down by the board twice. There are less disruptive routes you could pursue. Or you could just continue to use the existing trail on 64th Street. It's been there for many, many years. Thanks again for letting me talk. I would just ask that you vote for common sense tonight. Vote to deny this request. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else on the for side? We have three on the, again, separated. Thank you.
I'll go, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
My name is Dan Gook. I'm involved with Kellner Knights Snowmobile Club. There's no doubt that times have changed and the area has developed a few more properties or residences around it. That's exactly what we would hope would happen in a community that wants to add more value to it as it continues to blossom and grow over time. In many other communities where snowmobile trails have coexisted with residential areas, it's been able to be done and it's existed since the creation of the trail system and its inception. So we feel that that's why it is an acceptable thing that we can coexist and have those in place. Just like the DOT, the DNR, and any agency continues to evolve and look at opportunities where they could make an impact and make something more efficient or a safer environment, that's exactly what we have as an ethical responsibility in the world of our snowmobile trails. When we're looking at the options that we have, I think one of the biggest travesties of the entire situation tonight is that when Mr. Brewster passed away, quite honestly, a snowmobiler didn't actually buy that residence. Otherwise, I highly doubt we'd even be here tonight. But going forward, I don't think that we can actually rely on that as a solution. And that's why we're trying to utilize the township property where we do in many other areas throughout our community and eliminate that private land concern. The 64th Street area, and I don't want to rehash everything that we went through. Unless there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer those in complete detail. But I think one of the things that I know we as a club or leaders of our board and whatnot are frustrated with is that as if we haven't entertained any other ideas and that we haven't gone through the diligent process, nobody wants the conflict and nobody wants this to be something that tears a community apart. Which is exactly why when we had the proposition of actually bypassing Kellner area altogether, we had an alarming amount of feedback that said, we're not interested in that, that's why we moved here. As Mr. Spranger presented, there is value in having a snowmobile trail accessible in some people's areas. They look for that, that's a draw for them. So when we looked at these options from the 76th Street opportunity the 71st Street, the 68th Street, and the 64th Street, or simply a bypass altogether, as pointed out in those committee development meetings that we went through about the private land issue we have here, just like we had on the existing trail, as a concern. No matter where we go on a trail system, whether it's no matter where it is around the entire state, we're for the most part on private property anyway. And due to the graciousness of those landowners, they've allowed the trail system to exist. Just like Aloysius, who was willing to accommodate and allow us to have more access to a trail system through his property, the biggest frustrating part of that situation is that we just can't get to you. And if we could, it could be resolved at the moment. But we would be needing the access through that existing property owner there. We as a club, and many of us have talked about it as a board, always concerned about the concern about the logistics of how that was laid out to begin with. Isn't proper, isn't right. With the proximity of the home and the garage, which the trail had to pass through. That's where our ethical responsibility to our organization and our trail system is we have to look forward. A DOT re-engineers a curve, changes the banking, maybe makes the turn sweeping so that it can be a safer passage. That's exactly what we're looking at as we looked at all of these options and solutions. This map goes into even more detail that basically puts all three of the scenarios side by side. The board members have it. I'd be happy to pass this out if anyone is interested in it or not. But it goes through the detail there about the number of driveways and the number of landowners that would be impacted if the trail was to go in any one of the other options that have been presented. December of 2012, as well as, well, I'll start from there. In December of 2012, that was a piece that was brought up. At that time, as well as last year, we still had access to a trail, the existing trail as it is today. In our 14 to 15 season that we have right now, we know we don't have that access, which is why the pressing matter of trying to find a resolution. If that would have been the case and we didn't have trail access back 2 years ago over this previous process, we certainly would have pressed the issue more at that time, which is also why we're in favor of allowing the vote to be rescinded in October of 2013 so that more time and development could be done on it to make sure everyone was comfortable with all of the feedback and research that had been done in the past. I think everybody knows that one thing I can appreciate from the neighborhood families is that we've gone from the concerns of maybe a group of people that misrepresent the sport to you understanding and appreciate us for at least who we are, than the fact that we're hopefully, and we should be, the most positive side of what snowmobiling is all about and the family environment that it can offer and bring. Again, why maybe some people live here and want to raise their families here. Now that we don't have access, that's what's basically allowed us to have to press this issue to be able to connect that. The detail of the map basically shows one incredible area that I think there are two coincidences. The first is the fact that the Southwood County Park property actually comes this far north compared to anywhere else in our entire township, and it's a resource that we can all enjoy and use. Out of coincidence, it gets us to Grove Avenue this quick in the passage through our community, in which from here all the way to U, County Trunk U, except for one landowner. So from this point right here, all the way through to County Trunk U heading south out of Kellner, we're only on one landowner compared versus the township as well as the city of Wisconsin Rapids property. North of Highway W, we're fortunate enough to be off onto private land with no other contact with any of the other residences and road right-of-ways or anything else to be concerned of. If we were to continue to use 64th Street and 68th Street, that issue would always exist. So the feedback on the map shows the three different options there about where we could actually utilize township property, the number of driveways, the number of properties, and everything that are involved there. And the 76th Street just leaves the least impact and it's the lowest numbers. I am I am empathetic and wish there was a better solution for those families that aren't in favor of that. But at this moment in time, it's the lowest impact for our numbers, just from a number standpoint. If the board and the township feels that having the snowmobile trail and the access to it is important to this township, that's our job, is to look at where that safest route is, and there's where our concern goes back to the options here, and then 64th Street as the example that's also pointed out on the map. The number of driveways and the number of property owners that would be impacted. We've had correspondence with the Wood County Sheriff's Department as well as our EMT services and looked at this detail with them as well. There's representation here if anybody would like to hear them speak as well on that subject matter as well. Our goal, if this were to be developed in any capacity on 76th Street, would be the ability for it to be used the other 10 months out of the year, and impacted in the world in the likes of bicycling and walking and whatnot to gain access to the park property year round. We know from the Wood County Parks feedback that they're appreciative that the snowmobile trail and everything does exist, and from the feedback they give, the positive response that it creates as a recreational opportunity. Another example of that would be the walking path or the railroad right-of-way over on the south side of Wazeecha. The bridge that maybe many of you are familiar with, where the water comes out of the dam and crosses, that is in place because of the snowmobile program. The state of Wisconsin snowmobile program that has impacted that and allowed that bridge to be there and allow that to be another resource and access point that has allowed everybody to enjoy that area for years in the past. We're hoping to make that a positive impact. From an ethical standpoint, if you want to bring the emotion and the human element part of this into the equation, I couldn't possibly stand up here and say that I would allow the 64th Street option to exist, knowing that there's a safer option on 76th Street that could have been approached. Heaven forbid any accident ever happens, whether it's the snowmobiler's fault or not, that any family would ever have to go through that. And I know all of us as a club, or snowmobile enthusiasts, and even people who aren't in the club, which in club representation numbers is about 10 to 15% of any community compared to the number of actual registered machines. Frustrates us. That's our audience, and they still don't get to buy in and believe in this. But point is that I'll always wonder, and I'm sure all of my fellow snowmobilers will always wonder, if we could have done more, if we knew that this safer alternative existed and we had never pursued it and an unfortunate incident happened. Accidents can happen anywhere. It could happen in the safest route possible. That's why we call them accidents. Our job is to eliminate the risk as much as possible. And that's what we would entertain the idea of doing here by making the recommendation to the board about utilizing the 76th Street Road right-of-way as a snowmobile route, designated snowmobile route. Lastly, did I miss anything there that got brought up? As well, the Snowmobile Club is always in favor of trying to be solution driven. And we have some resources, although little that they are, to try to accommodate, whether it's gates on property landowners, snow fence meshing, and obviously the signage that we do create to try to present the most safest and passable way possible. So much so that the Wood County and the rest of the counties that are part of the trail system network help distribute those monies for bridges and improvements along the way. We have options where we can help with the mesh fencing, the signage, and trying to be a good neighbor here and trying to present a solution that we feel that would benefit the total community in general. In closing, there's going to be a day when I won't be here and some of the other landowners won't be here either. But the township, the roads, the snowmobile trails will still all exist for people to enjoy and be a part of for the rest of time, Lord willing. So That's some of the feedback. I'll be willing to answer any other questions that might be or might not be. I'll leave that up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Here, I have a question for you.
Well, sir, you need to ask the chair because this is a board meeting. You can ask us to inquire about an issue.
Okay, Chair,
We
can I
can't
ask you a
have
question?
interactions. Yes, you may ask me a question and I'll see if I find you the answer.
Okay, what I was wondering about, where they're gonna put this trail in that vacant land, that's,
Unopened road right away.
that's where the snow is dumped. Are they gonna make arrangements to open up the trail through there? Because that plow comes through there and dumps all the snow from 76th Street and then from Circle Drive in that property at the end of it. I was just wondering what they're gonna do about that.
Well, I can tell you from a crew standpoint that we would have to make arrangements. We'd move the snow somewhere else.
Pretty costly. Thank you.
We do it all the time. All right, so is there anybody else speak on the for side? We did have 3 on the negative, is that correct, or do we only have 2? Any was tally? All right, ma'am, you're up.
2 and 2.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
No, I want to be fair. My name is Teresa Thrun, Thrun. And public speaking is not my forte, but I just really want to address this group. I know this is an issue that you've heard all about how many times now. But what I don't seem to understand, and I guess all of you, it's just a trail and you want to ride your sleds through there. Have any of you even walked this trail? Do you even know how close it comes to our homes? I mean, I would like you all to come down. I invite you to come down and see why we are so up in arms. I ask that you personally read the letter that we put in the newspaper, because some of the things that were stated about this just are not so. And I just think that that's an insult to us as a group as well. You have to appreciate that we have feelings too. I mean, from your Kellner nights, open to the public, you're saying and asking people to come here. You're saying things like, one thing is clear, the opposition has and will say anything to convince the town board members to vote their way. The time to act is now. If you people are putting things out there like that, I mean, what do you feel like your neutral stance on us as homeowners? And I beg you to see that this trail could go elsewhere. 68th Street has no homes. 68th Street crosses Kellner Road, has no homes, goes up to 64th. Ideally, you can run it all the way on the edge here and catch up to your trail. What you don't show on your map, from having ridden these trails myself, is that there are loops in here. This is the only looped trail, and I do have a picture of that to show you, that this trail in our Wood County is looped there. You're not going to take any business away from anybody if you do a different trail. You aren't. This is not going to impact anything economically. You have other routes out there. I speak to that. There's no way that you changing the route of this is going to change anything for our local businesses, bars, whatever you want to call them, the eateries, which have whatever you want to say. The reality is that this is just too close to us. It is in my front yard, and I know that you know that the snowmobiles don't stay on the trail, or this lady wouldn't be having a problem with the snowmobilers going through her yard. It's just an issue that we're going to have to live with. You can't give us back our privacy, our quiet, our rest. I'm just saying, I like to snowmobile, but not in a residential area. How can you say that this isn't going to be a problem? You can speak for your behavior. You cannot speak for the behavior of others. And the snowmobiles are not quiet. You say they are quieter than they used to be. They don't run 1 or 2 at a time. It's 4, it's 6, it's 8, at all hours, off the trail. What are we supposed to do when they're not on the trail? Who do we call? Who's going to come change that? I mean, we have issues that we have to face because of this decision that will change the quality of our life indefinitely. And there are other routes, and this snowmobile club only wants to stay with this one, that are just as safe, that take the trail on a route. But there are 0 homes here, 0. I just can't see why you won't open your eyes. And this whole area, there are all kinds of routes that could get you right here. You could go up the drainage ditch on 71st. That is a direct route. This is the same kind of access as this is. There isn't even a home on it. How is it that you won't look at another alternative? You had your mind set on this one from the get-go. None of the meetings ever occurred between us and between the snowmobilers and the homeowners. None of that ever happened, but you just keep saying you want this. And I understand that you want what you want, but you're impacting the lives of other people who have rights too. And again, when you talk about the so to speak, petition we took around, there were plenty more people that would have signed it, and we could just keep going and going, because I know that you as a group have your rights and interests, but we do too. And you are a small percentage of the people that live here in town of Grand Rapids, and I have nothing against snowmobiles, but what I do have something against is the fact that you think just because you wish to have it a certain way, it should go that way. As I say, there are other routes, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and one more on the Fore side, if there's somebody else that wishes to speak. If not,
One of you guys go.
Reese?
Tom Davis. I've grew up in Wisconsin Rapids, and I've lived here in Grand Rapids since 1991 because I liked snowmobile and wanted to come out here where I could do it. And the one thing I just really want to point out is 2004, and I bought sleds. I had young kids, bought 3-up sleds, and yep, I'm a rookie driver, but we're coming down 64th. And you got 2 kids behind you on a sled. You come down this hill, you got to turn left onto North Park Drive. And a sled on a paved road doesn't turn very well, especially with 2 kids in the back who don't lean. So I'm in the middle of North Park Drive with a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old in the back. Got to get them off the sled, pick up the sled, turn it in the middle of the road, get the kids back in the sled, get out and try and get off the road, while cars are coming down this road and around this corner. Thankfully, they stopped in time because, you know, it's a blind corner in that respect. So this is a club trail implying it's local use. I know how to navigate this. You know, if I got my kids on the back of the sled, I'm not even going to use this route because it's hard to make that corner. If I'm by myself, I know I can stop at the top of the hill, see if there's cars coming, shoot diagonally across the intersection and make it safely. But that's because it's a local trail and I live here locally and I know that. If this became the state corridor, you'd have people from out of town coming through on this route who don't know that, getting stuck in the middle of the road like I did as a rookie, and potentially being in a very dangerous situation because they can't go forward or backward and there's cars coming. So this just is not, I feel at that meeting we had a couple weeks ago, there was talk about wants and needs. And I think everybody here has wants, kind of opposite, but one thing that happened there was a lot of minimizing the need, the snowmobile club perspective, saying you don't really need this trail. I would argue we need a state corridor trail going through our area, not just to bring in business, but for people who live in this community to get out and enjoy the rest of the Wisconsin trail system. And if we're gonna have a state corridor trail coming through here, it needs to be safe. And I've been on this one with kids when I was a rookie, and it's not that safe if you don't know what you're doing. Now, it's a club trail, we live here, we know what we're doing, we can make it through, but if that's a state corridor trail, I'd be concerned about the safety of making that the state corridor. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay. We'll now turn it over to the board. Does the board have any questions they wish to ask of anybody specifically or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question of the Snowmobile Club. Dan, at the last time when we were talking about the use of the non-developed road right-of-way, there was a discussion about cutting only 18 feet of the right-of-way and leaving a buffer. Is that still the intent of the club?
Yep. Try to leave the least amount of footprint possible, which is also why the passage of growth in that capacity compared to traveling west to 68th Street as well. But for the thoroughfare, the road right-of-way on 76th Street, that would be the intentions. Yeah.
Other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman. Okay, I met with the residents the other evening, I believe it was last Thursday, and they had discussed 2 other alternatives with me, which I then portrayed to Dan. And I see the 68th Street one is on here, which can you explain your reasoning, I guess, on that one? And then there was another one that isn't on here, which was the 71st Street.
Yep.
And that was straight like a drainage ditch?
Correct.
Can I answer about the 71st Street if I can, or, because I'm sorry, I get introduced myself. Justin Connor, I'm the vice president of the Keller Knights. When I looked at the 71st Street, yes, it's a drainage ditch. It is there on an easement, so it's different than a public road right-of-way. So those people that live along that actually own likely up to the center of that ditch.
Okay.
Looking at the easement, actual easement language, it states that nothing, basically they can't use that for anything. So even if a landowner couldn't, access that for any reason, they can't plant anything in there. They can't, basically they can't do anything to it.
Can't improve it.
So that is why, I mean, even if all the landowners along that drainage ditch easement said, yeah, we still could not drive over it, you couldn't do anything over it.
Okay.
So that's why it's not on.
One thing to add on that is our, in our relationships with Portage County too, when you get into the drainage ditches, you start to get into some DNR concerns too, as far as being a good neighbor. Last thing we want to do is create an issue there by ruining the grade of the drainage ditch.
Okay. So then we're down to another proposal they expressed to me was at 68th Street, coming off that, and so I drew it on that map where the proposed was.
Yep.
I guess I would like.
This would be right in this line right
Yep.
here. Okay. So even, this was the reasoning behind this. This would be kind of review from the committee meeting, so for those of you that were there, just bear with. If we were able to gain access to the western edge of the Wood County property and basically get to the point where we can travel as far west on Grove for an access point as possible, the amount of distance that we would travel to get down that along Grove Avenue is, and according to that map, is where we would cross driveways at these different points. The amount of distance here is 4 times longer based on scale as it would be here by entering to get to 76. So the footprint along Grove Avenue is just simply less there as the first point. The second point would be is the amount of improvement that would need to be done here versus the amount on 68th Street as well. This isn't actually a big issue to us. Okay, this can be done. There's resources to help get the trail taken care of. Getting up to this area too, we would still be using road right-of-way. Now we've got 2 options once we get to the north or right to County Trunk W. We can either travel east along W, which has different road restrictions as a county trunk highway compared to a township road. Meaning traffic is expected to travel in both ways with headlight flow and whatnot. I think with the concern there, obviously that would be pretty straightforward. Would be is just simply the amount of traffic potential that the snowmobiles would be in conjunction with the volume of traffic that's on W to begin with. Irregardless, traveling east to either try to utilize Mr. Smith, Farmer Smith's property here on the north side of W, or having to continue down the road right-of-way of County Trunk W to get down to the existing trail. Option 3 would be is continuing north and basically traveling up the 68th Street road right-of-way. It's true we could be on the eastern edge to Teresa's point, is that we could be over on the eastern edge of that road right-of-way, but the concern there is that we're still traveling past a residential area, and we're just looking at trying to eliminate and downsize that as much as we can, as just from concern of that. Yes, it would get to the Bowen property, where we do have access and we have an existing relationship. When we get to County Trunk W, to the point earlier is that in the existing trail, basically the impact is none. And over here on 68th and 64th is that we still have the residential area to be concerned about. We don't know if these driveways will still stay gravel, if they'll be improved along Grove. We don't know if the land will change hands there either. Even though we'll be in the road right-of-way, we would just simply we assume that would be a safer option to avoid that as well for traffic flow.
Okay, other board member questions? All right, from my perspective, I'll base my decision on what I believe to be our facts. I reviewed the areas of County Trunk Z, 76th Street, where it goes to the...
A little louder, please, Arnie, could you?
Sure will.
Thank you.
I reviewed the 76th Street area off of Z, which moves to the railroad tracks right away. I live very close to the 75th Street corridor, which they, from Winrock Avenue, where it goes down to the lake. There's many homes on that area. Several of them were recently built, and several of them have changed over time. To my knowledge, there have been 0 incidences on any of those portions of the town right-of-way that was used. So I guess any other board members wish to make some comments before anybody entertains any motions?
I guess I would. And again, I've been kind of in the middle of this, near the head of it, for the beginning, for better or worse. I did look and I did walk those trails yesterday. Last night I walked, it was raining, but I did walk through the road right away. I did go down to 68th Street and even the 71st Street because I was unaware about the road right away. In dealing with all of this, throughout the whole process, I've had many conversations with Dan and Carol Barrow, who it impacts the most out of anybody, and also with Dan Guck with the Snowmobile Club. You know, the only thing I can say is, you know, the Barrows have been probably the most classy, we have talked with the most integrity that I have dealt with since being a board member. And I have very much respect for them. If I was to vote, based on looking at what they did, my vote would be different than it is going to be tonight. You know, I am friends with their children, and so I really have some, I understand where their quandary is as far as where that trail is. And I am hoping that, and just from talking to the snowmobilers and the Snowmobile Club, that you do everything possible to make that as small and help them people out with putting some sort of barrier up there, because it is. Their bedrooms are right there, you know, which, you know, but then I have to look at the town as a whole and why it was elected. You know, if it was based on the one person, yes, I would, I support him completely. But my decision is going to be based on what I think is for the best for our community, which this is the hardest vote I have taken since, and I've only been here 2 years. But this is tough because I can surely see both sides, and I understand completely what they're saying.
Any other comments, or is anybody ready to make a motion to come forward to be for consideration?
I'll make a motion, Chairman, that we approve the use of the 76th Street non-developed road right-of-way for the relocation of the snowmobile trail, designating the snowmobile route east on Grove near Parkway Court to the 76th Street right-of-way, and north through the non-developed road right-of-way along 76th Street to Cumming Valley.
That's your motion? Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I'd like to make a statement.
Yes, go ahead, Patty.
I'm not against the snowmobilers. In fact, my father bought our first snowmobile in the neighborhood, and we had a lot of fun snowmobiling as kids. And it is good, clean, family fun. But as a property owner, I can't vote yes to a snowmobile trail going through a subdivision or close proximity to a home. I would not like it myself. So I cannot expect others to accept that for the good of the others. These people in the subdivision purposely bought their home on a dead-end road, which is quiet, and they also built in a subdivision to be away from traffic. They did not purchase their home in hopes that a snowmobile route or trail would move closer to them. I've seen all the different routes and the reasonings behind. I feel that, like Dan had said, we could reroute something. If something doesn't work, we can go ahead and reroute that. I would like to see the 64th Street Trail be utilized. Also, Lance Plimmel indicated that there's $300,000 worth of money that can be utilized for the purpose of building bridges, safer turns, whatever else. I'd like to maybe, as Tom Davis had indicated, that corner down at the bottom is hard to turn. There is options that can be used in order to make the road right away or the road itself. Like up north, they utilize a different type of pavement that allows snowmobiles to get traction, to save the tracks, to save the skis. So I received a lot of telephone calls and signed petition. There were greater numbers against the snowmobile trail going on the 76. So I cannot vote in favor of something that I feel separated the community rather than bring it together. And I believe it's important to protect the residents' property. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Bill?
On this 18-foot strip that's being talked about, it was talked about once before. Is that what the town is going to get involved with the crew to cut trees so that groomer can go through there? Is that correct?
I'm not sure at this point if the Snowmobile Club does it, but it is town property, so I would believe that our crew would be responsible to provide it. It is town property, so to have other entities do it, I don't think would be appropriate. I think our attorney would tell us that it should be town grubbing or whatever.
Okay, well, the first thing is that it was authorized at one meeting that you would have the crew go out and do that, and then you indicated that you had stopped that.
Yeah, and actually you made the motion to approve it, if I remember right, the first time, Bill. And we, then as I was made aware that there was opposition, which we were unaware of at the time, I told the crew to stop doing anything until it was resolved.
Okay, continuing on.
Go ahead.
We just recently passed disapproved of our ATVs going down Town Line Road. And we were encouraged by the Towns Association letter that that's not a good idea because it's economic development and we should be creating this because it's the up and coming thing. But we unanimously objected to an ABT route on Town Line Road. And yes, I did make the motion at one time, but we did vote on it again. And there was a vote of 4-1 to not approve this trail. And then is what was going to be is the Economic Development Committee was supposed to get the sides together. We have not had a recommendation or minutes from any of those meetings. We don't know what the recommendation of the Economic Committee was to this board. I would have thought they'd have come back with a recommendation or sit down with who they said they was going to sit down with. So I'm not making excuses for my vote. I'm voting no against this for those reasons.
Any other comments?
Well, Mr. Chairman, since I'm last here to speak, first and foremost, I empathize with both sides. The outcome, half of this room is going to walk out of here unhappy and half of this room is going to walk out of here pleased with the decision. Neither side, though, is going to feel satisfied because it did divide the community at this moment. But what concerns me the most is when I keep hearing the talk about, don't put this in my backyard, it's safe enough to go somewhere else. And then I look at the 64th Street route, knowing how many residences are along there. Or I look at Grove from where they discussed taking it west to the 68th Street and up. There are still several properties they're crossing there. And what confuses me is when I sit and listen to one voice in my head saying, it's so dangerous, don't let it go by properties. And then the very next voice out of my head is, oh, we could put it here and it would be okay. And I guess I just have to look at exactly what Lance described as not what's best for me, not what's best for one or two individuals, but what's best for the community, the town, regional economic growth. The snowmobilers do pay a tax gas. They do have every right to use their snowmobiles in this town. And there is revenue that is generated as a result of the many snowmobilers that are out there. And so obviously you can hear how I'll be voting.
Any other comments? If not, I'll call for the motion to approve the, you want to restate that motion, Dan, just for the record, just for sure?
Sure, it'd be to approve the use of the 76th Street non-developed road right-of-way for the relocation of the snowmobile trail, designating the snowmobile route east on Grove near Parkway Court to the 76th Street road right-of-way and north through the non-developed road right-of-way along 76th Street to County W.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of the motion for the relocation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
2 opposed. Motion is carried. All right, let's do the best we can with this. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
All right, well, back to the agenda item. So we are on agenda item number 7, which approves the resolution of 2014-32, amending ordinance 7, regulating the discharge of firearm, bows and arrows and other devices, bringing the ordinance up to current state statutes and town land usage. No changes in the restricted area were made. So Dan, I guess maybe Judy can explain where the question came about the target. Okay. That question went back and forth to our attorney, and I believe the language in here, Judy.
I lost my sheet.
Yeah.
The language that we looked at last meeting, where you felt that it wasn't allowing bow practice without the 100-yard approval, 100 yards of a building. Dan says it does allow that.
Okay.
What it says is that no person may discharge any firearm. So that's saying discharge a firearm for any reason, or hunt with a bow and arrow without the 100 yards of a building, the permission. So it's not saying that you cannot practice with a bow and arrow. It says you cannot hunt. And he says, as long as you aren't prohibiting it, then it's allowed. So we can either leave it the way that I currently have it in the resolution, or on the very back, Dan suggested another option of separating it out into 2 parts, where it says no person may discharge any firearm, and then part B, it's on the very back of your resolution.
Oh.
Part B would specify no person may hunt. So if you felt that was easier to understand, that A says you cannot discharge a firearm, period, and B says you cannot hunt with a bow and arrow. I mean, we can change it to that ABC compared to AB, which is on the front.
Nope.
But we allow hunting in that area by shooting down, is that correct?
If they're within 100 yards of a building, they have to have the property owner's permission.
Oh, and that's what they have to have for this deer hunt, right?
For hunting. And then, yes, B on the first page, or C on the very last, says that when hunting with a bow and arrow, it must be just discharged towards the ground.
And you could sit on somebody's house and shoot it 100 yards.
If you're within 100 yards of a building and you have the homeowner's permission to hunt, you may hunt.
I think we leave it the way it is. I think that explains it.
You explained it, and that's
I think that explains it. It does.
I think it should be changed, so it's very clear that you can hunt with a bow and arrow.
I'll take a motion either way if one person wants to
Right, we can
make a motion with the changes.
just
we can-
amend the resolution to whichever way you want it.
So I missed that, Bill, explain that again. You think it should be
ABC.
A, B, and C.
A, B, C?
I'm fine either way, so.
They're saying the same thing,
They
except
are.
A and B are combined in the first option.
Yep.
All right, so motion to come forward then from anybody?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve it, using the language on the back of the original resolution, using the A, B, and C.
ABC.
Okay, motion has been made, is there a second to it?
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded that resolution 2014-34, ordinance number 7 is approved with the additions of items A, B, C, replacing A, B under 7.4. Okay. All those, go ahead, questions?
One of the things is by approving this, it was also indicated in it that no change was made to the restricted areas. Does that mean by approving this, we can't do that?
No.
That is done with?
No. It's just stating that this resolution did not make any changes to the current allowable
We just
land.
didn't get that far at the last legislative, but this is getting it up to state standards and the new hunting regulations, and which is the discharging of the bow towards the ground, I believe is one of the new ones.
So legislative would still address any issues that anybody has on closing of any hunting areas.
So it's just assumed that hunting is allowed on town property, on public property.
We have the map,
Yes.
which represents all of these ordinances, all of these sections that are in the ordinance and subdivisions where hunting is
Not
not
allowed.
permitted.
So I'm just trying to find something out here. So if I want to go hunting on the city of Wisconsin Rapids land over here, that is within the town of Grand Rapids, and I want to go hunting on there, I can?
It depends on where it is on the map.
And whether or not that property owner has posted the land.
But it's public land.
The
It's
city
my
has a
thought.
right to still post their land, I
Do
believe.
we have a right to post our land?
Yeah.
I imagine we do.
Well, I mean, this was part of the conversation. Okay, as long as these things can be discussed at a later time.
And that's
These will all
what I
go to
was
legis-
under, the
Yeah.
assumption it was actually gonna go to legislative before it came to the board again.
We wanted to have the ordinance corrected with the hunting because that's coming quicker than we'll get anything from
It's here
legislative.
now with the vote.
Yeah, they're already starting on, so.
Right.
We should have the ordinance in place to follow the state statutes. So if there are any issues, we have the opportunity to address those issues if somebody's violating the law. Okay, any other questions on the ordinance as it was changed? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Motion is carried, okay, with the change. Okay, item 8 is the discussion or the replacement of part of the end loader. We have one of our older, I believe is that at the, what age is that, the 98? 95? 95 model case, and it has a swivel plow in the front of it. This plow has a cable-driven mechanism to lift the wing, and that's caused difficulty from pretty much ongoing. Hinky, who is the manufacturer of the unit, through much discussion with our crew, has offered to provide us that relatively cost for a couple of options. One option is that we would buy a complete unit from them and then offer our, didn't you all get this?
No.
I did. I got it, but I forgot it. Well, I know what you're referring to.
Do you wanna?
I'll give it mine.
From our,
So, And then the other option is to replace the wing unit itself with a updated version of what they have. So really the difference in cost is about $7,000 cost differential between a whole unit and just a wing unit. Now, the whole unit has a pretty good resale value that we believe's in the neighborhood of possibly as much as $8,000. So is it more feasible to buy a complete unit, then sell the takeoff unit, and actually have less cost than what they would sell us, just the updated wing solution? So the timeline on this is anywhere from 30 to 90 days. They say 60 to 90 days lead time. We're not certain if this could get here before winter starts, which could be any day. They indicated that they could possibly get it to us yet for this year. So I guess I wanted to let the board take a look at it. If you want to ask the crew anything about it, if we purchase it, obviously we don't have the funds in our hands right now. We'd have to move it from another fund. We have some road funds that could be moved to cover the cost of it if we desire to do that. Or if last resort the board wants the crew to run with the unit we have here now, put this into the budget request, which we're going to meet tomorrow on. So I guess I wanted to have it in front of you folks and have a little discussion with Rick and Mike if they're both here, if you got any questions. Anybody question of the crew?
I missed what, vehicle is this going in?
One of the first end loaders. We have two end loaders with plows and wings. The oldest one, the girls were supposed to print me some pictures, and apparently they're not in my tray, so I'm not sure where they are. But there's a cylinder that runs up and down, it lifts the wing. It's wobbled out to a point where it's probably at least 1/8 inch to, not an 1/8 inch, 3/8 to a 1/4 inch wobble on it, so it catches once in a while when it's dropping down rather than dropping in. It's cable driven on a pulley, and that cable breaks every
Long and
series.
short of it, already it's wore out.
Yeah, it's wore out, it's wobbled
We've had
out.
it since '95, it's been a damn good plow. We've had it on a K621, it's been converted to one of the John Deere's now, and we love the plow. It's a heavy plow, you put it down, you can go with it. It's just that we have issues with this wing assembly.
Dave,
It's just a headache.
the second option with just buying the wing part, that's only for the parts. There's probably a minimum of $2,500 cost gonna be added to that by the time you get the old stuff cut off and the new stuff bolted onto the old one. Not only that, but the wing that's on there has been fixed many times. The center has been broke out of it. The ram, they have a completely new system for lifting the ram. That's been welded, I couldn't tell you how many times. The part-timers usually run that machine, and we're ending up with difficulty, and it's hanging up on them, and they're not catching it because they're not used to it. We're just trying to alleviate some wear and tear and a lot of other things that could go on with it. We've had it since '95 too.
It's been a great plow. I mean,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, and they've upgraded it and they've improved on it.
Yeah, when you
They're
know.
built in Kansas.
I know you're, May.
Go ahead, Patty.
I know you, the grader had the cable mechanism.
Yeah, the old one.
And then, now, of course, it doesn't, it has the hydraulics on it. And are you happy with that change from the cable to the hydraulics?
Yeah, a lot less. We might, that cable on the end loader, I might change it once a year or 12 times a year. Might break every snowfall, depends on who ends up in that one, you know. But it's wore out. It hangs up pretty easy.
The main plow itself, that turns, the main plow is fine.
I'll make a motion, go ahead and purchase.
I got another question. Okay, but the bill, you got a motion to purchase the new unit?
Yes.
Okay. Bill has made a motion to purchase a new unit.
Could
And
you just say what the cost was again before?
roughly
$16,992.
So it'd be somewhat less than 18,000 if we had anything on there. I'm not sure, we don't need shoes and stuff like that.
Well,
What about those two release things? No, not needed. So basically these roughly 17, we'll find the funds from road or something,
construction, maybe?
road construction, we can move it to later. But if we could get it and get it ordered, then we could get, so, I'm sorry, I'm talking without a second to a motion, ain't I?
Well, the thing
I'll
is, it
second
is-
so we can continue the discussions.
All right, now let's discuss, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead, Ron.
Call for the question.
Now Patty wanted to ask a question, Bill, that wasn't nice.
Just kidding.
So you said 16,992 plus
Yeah.
the shoes?
No, they don't need them.
You don't need
No,
shoes?
just be freight shipping it here, I think is the only other thing, isn't it?
What did, say again, please?
Or was that included?
Oh.
Just the freight to get it here might be a,
Oh, because it's out of Kansas.
yeah.
Yeah.
How realistic is selling that old one for about $8,000?
The way people are plowing parking lots and everything else, probably pretty good.
Is it? I mean, you feel comfortable with
It's probably pretty good.
ballpark?
You know, and it's probably fine for somebody who doesn't have to rely on it to get everybody out to work, you know, clear your roads every day.
Mhm. Is there a market for this stuff too?
There seems to be, everybody's showing up with more and more of it all the time.
The quick touch that's on it, because it is quick touch.
It's quick touch, so it's just on and off and away you go.
Ron, do you have questions?
Well, more of a comment. Over my years of experience and stuff, if you've got stuff that's not dependable when you're snowing, it causes way too much confusion. You have to have good, reliable stuff that works, especially if you're putting relief help on it. Not that they're not any good, but they're just not used to stuff like the regular guy. So I guess my comment would be you're way better to go with new than keep cobbling it and fixing it. And then that Wisconsin surplus stuff goes unbelievable high in there, sometimes. Yeah, I guarantee you.
All right, motion been taken, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of purchasing the new Hinky plows, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? All right, give me a signed order, boys.
And a check.
And a check. Item 9, approval of resolution 2014-35 to provide a substitution for treasurer's bond. This is kind of the annual thing we do that Chris provided to us, and we are required by statute to
Give to the county.
give this to the county.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2014-35, providing a substitution for a treasurer's bond.
I'll second that.
Motion Kathy, second Patty, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? Number 10, September disbursement vouchers, any questions? Any questions?
I'm looking. Okay, I did have a couple questions.
All right, go ahead. I didn't rush you, I don't mean to rush you.
Yeah. I know last month we ended up purchasing, road base, around 3,000, and this month we did 1,500. Are we still in the stockpile mode, or are we
Right, that's part
fixing
of
the
that,
edges?
that's part of that 500 yard order that we placed earlier.
500 ton.
500 ton. They didn't deliver it all, and we're still, right now we're stockpiling. We did use quite a bit of it just recently. So we probably have a reasonable stockpile again, I would guess. Are they done, do you know, Rick?
Stockpile?
Yeah, bringing it in?
They should be, as far as I know.
Okay.
One spray load came in.
Okay.
Weeks ago.
That's my
Okay.
question.
Any other questions? If not? Public Works.
Nope, operator license.
Oh, operator license, we got any?
Yep.
There
Mr.
we
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the one-year operator license for Brianna Wendt and Caitlin Ledwig of JR Capone's.
I'll second that.
Motion Kathy, second Pat. Motion Kathy, second Patty. Any further discussion? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. Now may I go to monthly reports?
Yes.
Yeah, making sure.
All right, Public Works, biggest thing going on right now, finally the county is getting to putting in our 2 culverts that we've had stockpiled for pretty much all summer, and our crew's working with them, obviously. The 64th culvert over by the Beagle Club is in, gravelled.
5 o'clock this afternoon.
And tomorrow morning, they will be doing the one on 48th that's near,
Down on the farm.
down on the farm, thanks, Manny. Boy, these things just escape your mind once in a while. Down on the farm, and will be a one-day process, and I know they are closed on Wednesday, so that will work conveniently with them. We're told right now that the plan is to blacktop already on Friday. So it'll be over and done with quick. Other things going on, doing a little ditching here and there. Sign work, still plenty of that to do. So, any questions?
So that's what those barricades are out for? Are those from Rent a Flash?
Those are our own, Bill.
Oh, those are?
Yeah, we own those.
Well, I just thought, the big truck went by my house, I was...
No, that wasn't it.
Oh,
We put our own out.
okay.
Mhm.
I guess you're right.
Any questions?
When I was looking at the website as far as the pictures go, to see our old grader's still on there.
It is.
Yeah,
Hmm.
not the new.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's your department or?
No, but I got a picture, so
Okay.
we'll get that taken care of. We need to have the good stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Rick, any comments?
No.
Okay. Plan Commission, Patty?
Planning Commission, we met October 13th, discussed the spraying of waste, agricultural waste. And, well, I shouldn't say just agricultural. I should just say waste, because it could be human also. And there's a recommendation that we referred that to legislative committee to see if a ordinance wants to be created and sent back to the plan commission. Also, we did recommend to the board the conditional use permit for the magazines, which we had the public meeting on tonight.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right. Kathy, Public Safety?
There was no meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Airport Commission, Bill, did you guys meet Monday?
Yes, we met last night.
Last night.
Don't confuse me.
That's Monday.
Just short, the minutes aren't out yet, but they will be shortly. We opened up bids for running the snow plow in the taxiways and stuff like that. And we only had one bidder, and that bidder was the guy on Highway 54 that lives in the town of Grand Rapids.
Dean Altman.
Dean, yeah, Altman was there, and it's not so much, it's the same as Hazley's used to give us just about, except they have a little wider end loader that's gonna cost us a little more per hour.
Quicker, probably.
Yes, and we adopted the budget as you saw it and as we adopted it, as we looked at it here. The encroachment action, and that's related to a resident in the town of Grand Rapids. We're meeting this month around the 20th and 21st with the person from the BOA, and we are going to view that property, and there possibly going to be some action on that. I'm reading off of here because it was just last night. The FFA room, that radio room, where we put concentration on that we're going to try to get that fixed up and warmed up, but there's a possibility we may put it in the basement of the terminal, and that way we'll have 24-hour service in which there will be bathrooms open in case anybody wants to land, and there'll be an entrance to that. So we're working on that. Snow removal equipment storage. And this was a question at budget time, how come the rental is down for the hangars? And that's because 3 of them are vacant. So we're gonna utilize those vacant hangars for our snow removal equipment.
That makes sense.
Correct?
That is correct.
By the way, he was there last night. We renewed the insurance for the storage tank insurance, And Jason Connors, Justin Connors was there and spoke about how, and I don't know the word for it, how his office, because he is president of the GIS state of Wisconsin, he is president of that organization, and they're doing some kind of a aerial photographing, and they're going to do it yet this fall, where they can tell us exactly the height of a tree, the height of all the buildings, the height of the fence, and it's such precision, and it's going to be done free. And they're going to be doing it all over the state of Wisconsin, and it costs a lot of money to do it. My son is also in Alabama, they're doing it, I called him today about it, and they're doing the same thing, and it is, surprisingly, it's roughly the same price as it is in Alabama. So obviously, we're getting a good deal there.
Free?
No, the airport is getting it free. Your taxpayers gotta pay for it.
All right, that's what.
Okay, and they, I'll leave a copy of the number of aircrafts and stuff. I don't have it with me.
Yeah, that's one thing, Bill, if you would provide that, because we don't.
Yes.
Those of us that get the email don't get that attachment, and it really would be interesting so that we know how many landings and takeoffs are going on.
Yes.
I gauge to see how the economy's doing.
Well, I have it, and I'll make sure you get a copy of it.
Yeah.
Well, what is surprising is this is the whole list of people that were here.
That
And
flew
it's, right, and it's surprising, the governor flew out, under the upset, he didn't buy any gas, of course, and he never does. But, this is the whole list, and it's quite interesting. After these plane leaves, you hear what happened around in the area. Now that golf course is going in Adams County there, it's surprising who the people are. And I will put this stuff in your baskets.
Thank you. Anything else on the airport?
No, that'll be it.
Public buildings, Patty?
We did not meet.
Economic development, Dan?
We met, and as it was discussed here tonight, the snowmobile trail was discussed. And also we had representatives from the Reggie Group, and they are moving forward. They, did we report on that last time? I don't believe so.
No, I don't believe we did.
And they are moving forward. They 501c. 501c3
has been filed.
Yeah, has been filed, and they are also in the next step are going to be looking at getting someone from the community as a kind of a liaison and a historian for Reggie, and then they'll also be looking for an individual to sit on as a forum to kind of continue progress and see how the growth of or where they're going. So they are moving forward. There was a lot of stuff that was going on there behind the scenes, but like I said, you are going to see definitely more. They got their base built up, and they're moving forward.
Let me just ask, in your notes though, you did ask right at the end for them to make a presentation to the.
Right, I wanted to schedule.
And you did say that, so,
Yep.
and I believe they answered yes.
Yeah, they will.
I'd like to put them on the November or the December agenda if we can. I can add one thing to that though, Dan. Last Thursday, actually a couple days earlier to that, I got a call from Jason Grunberg. He wanted to know if I could spare a couple minutes of time during the day to visit with Lupke and Associates. They're out of Newton, Wisconsin. They were hired by Reggie to do like an inventory assessment of the communities around the area. So I did meet with them for, I guess, pretty close to an hour and a half. And basically the questions that they were asking of me was, what's the overwhelming feel of our community, why we would be an attractive part of a presentation. And obviously the first thing that came to mind is that we were announced as the third safest municipality in the state of Wisconsin recently. We have ample number of opportunities for residential development. We have some areas that could be developed for businesses that do not need sewer or water services such as cold storage buildings and the like. So we just gave them a brief overview of the town, and they are reporting directly back to Reggie. So we should hear something from Reggie in the near future, and hopefully in November or December we'll have them back. Recycling and solid waste, Bill, anything?
Yes, we did have a meeting. We spoke with the Advanced Disposal. They are going to be answering the letter. I just sent out the minutes today, and I didn't bring a copy of them, so I'm only going off the agenda. They are going to answer whether they're going to talk about a contract. So, and they're not going to leave us with garbage on the road in January. That was one of the statements. I said, are we going to have garbage sitting all over because you're not going to have a contract? It says, no, we don't work that way. So that was good to hear. Yeah, but there was complaints about, and it happened at my place, they dumped all my recyclables that I worked so hard doing. They dumped all my recyclables right in the garbage. And they had quite a conversation about that. And the argument and it was with an official of the Advanced Disposal saying, well, it was probably a garbage truck that picked it up. You know, I bet you 10 minutes, I says, what makes the difference if it's a garbage truck or a recyclable garbage truck or what? And we got nowhere. And I don't know, at our meeting, we went over that. And we also went over what's in the phone book on page 42, I believe, of the phone book, in which our Clean Green Committee is we have what you can do with stuff, you know. And also went over the review of what the town said, because in my conversation with Advanced Disposal, he said, well, the guy said that you had all kinds of plastic in there. And I said, you take 1 through 7. Well, he says, that's necessarily not it. We kind of like just 1s and 2s. You know, so why do we put in our book? So we're going to get that straightened out.
Their contract says 1 through 7.
Yes,
right?
it does. You bet it
Because
does.
they sent us out flyers about 2
Well,
years
yeah.
ago saying,
Yeah.
we now accept 1 through 7 and a bunch of other stuff on there.
Okay, and we're still looking for, at the county level too, and at municipal, whenever there's an event, that there should be enough recyclable containers. If anybody attended the Encourage Foundation's picnic that they had, they give a whole list. What was the amount of garbage they had? They even weighed it. It was a very significant amount. Everything was recycled at that place.
Yeah, they did a nice job.
And you did get my minutes today, Judy?
I wasn't in this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
All right, anything else on recycling, or are there any questions from the floor? I should also ask that. If not, legislative did not meet, and I believe personnel did not meet. Okay. Item 13 is report from individual board members. Any board members wishing to address anything? Bill?
I'm just wondering about the new committee. I don't know what it's called, for
5-year study?
the 5 years, 3 to 5 year study.
Yeah.
I will be attending those, but I will not be participating as a board member, and I will not be requesting any pay. I don't believe that we're going to achieve anything in the first place, and there would be nothing coming back to the board, so I'll still be attending them, but I don't want any
That's
pay
a-
for it.
All right, I mean, if you feel that the committee can't come up with something.
I'll report on that in a minute.
All right, Dan?
I'm good.
Patty? Kathy?
I only wanted to report on the strategic planning meetings. We've had 2 meetings where we've worked collaboratively with fire department officers, the town board members, police and fire commission members, working towards strategic plan goals and visions, missions for our fire department. We had a lively discussion last month when we were talking about per diems to keep people engaged and actively participating in the process. And as Bill alluded to, we talked about who should be entitled to per diems. Everyone here, and those watching again, knows that Bill and Patty did state that they would not be collecting per diems, as Bill just stated again now. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but you did collect a per diem because I've asked Judy to help me. I want to report back to the public how much this cost us. And the last meeting, Patty did not collect a per diem, and none of the volunteer firemen, even though we authorized them to, none of them collected a per diem.
I did because it was a new committee, it wasn't a commission or this and that.
However, you stated you would not collect, and you did, and you stated right here you would not collect, and again you did. So
I'll pay
I
it
just
back.
want to make sure
I'll
it's
pay it
clear.
back.
All right, and I have no additional comments. I do appreciate the civility of the folks tonight as we went through all the issues. It was, again, one that I didn't, I lost a little bit of sleep on because it was very, very dear to my heart. Public comment period again. If there's anybody wishing to speak to the board on any topics for 2 minutes, yes, you may.
Thank you, Chairman. Board. My name is Carl Herman, and some of you may or may not know I'm running for Wood County Sheriff. And as a resident of Grand Rapids, I ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else want to wish to address anything? Mr. Head?
Yeah, hey, I didn't have any dogs in that fight on that snowmobile trail there, but I sure appreciate you guys explaining why you were voting the way you were voting, and I'm guessing there's a lot of other people appreciated that too, whatever side they were on. That was nice. Thank you for doing that.
All right. Item 15 is, I should ask, there was any other more comments? If not, we'll move to item 15. Establish next agenda. Anybody, board member specifically, have an item they want to have added on? If not, just to see me here, Judy, and we'll see about addressing that. Item 16, the town board will convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, print 1, print C, consider compensation of every public officer over which the governing body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility pertaining to 2015 compensation for town employees. Somebody wish to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I think Patty got you first.
I'll second.
And motion, Patty, second, Dan. Roll call vote. Bill?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Arnie? Aye. We are in full session. We thank you folks very much.